fun. It seems like entertainment. And you can kind of see through here, I'll pass around the flavoring, and it used to reek through the bag. It was bubble gum or something flavoring. We had to move it out of the office. But, so yeah. When I talk about the tobacco trends that are happening in York County here, when we talk about the cigarettes, like I said, their perception of risk is still slim on this, but not many 7th, 9th, or 11th graders are using your cigarettes. You're looking at 1 to 8%. Now when we talk about e-cigarettes, your 7th, 9th, and 11th graders are reporting all the way up to 20% have used in the past 30 days. And they feel like there's no problems, their parents would have no disapproval of it, and it's really because they think they're just smoking a flavor. A lot of them say, well, there's no nicotine in my e-juice. That's what I'm going to talk about in a second, because they don't really know that. So the types of products that are out there, like I said, in his hand is the mods right here, the bigger ones. We also have your e-cigarette blues, disposable cigarettes, the vaping pens, which essentially it's the same name, same term for them, and then the e-hookahs. And all of these devices you can purchase at any gas station, any convenience store. Does it still smell?
A little.
A little? It's pretty gross. But in these products, that's where you put in your e-juices. And so when we talk about the e-juices, we're talking about flavors that are intriguing our youth, like cotton candy, fruit punch, things like that. They're not going to go to a black and mild or a bold flavor. That's wary. That's going to keep them away. So of course the tobacco industry honed in on that. But something that the youth don't understand is you can regulate how much e-juices you drop in your pen, and you can also pick on the level of nicotine that goes in it. Most of the youth say they're getting 0% nicotine, they're just vaping juices. But at Keystone, we did kind of an environmental scan and just had that conversation going up to the vape shops and saying, you know, hey, how do you know there's no nicotine in these 0% ones? And a couple of them reported, honestly, they said, well, you know, we just mix it behind the counter. There's no manufacturer shipping them the stuff. I mean, they're mixing in, let me see, they're mixing in glycerin, vegetable glycerin, propylene glycol, all these ingredients, no regulation. And one honestly told me that they will put a few drops of nicotine in it because they know it's addicting and they want the youth to keep coming back. It's money in their pocket. So on our end, the good thing is we can look forward to the FDA is really coming in strong in 2018 and tightening their reins on our vape shops. So they're starting to mandate that any e-juices that are flavored like cherry, strawberry have to be removed. And there has to be specific instructions of how much is in your e-juices. So how much nicotine, how much this vegetable glycerol, how much is in it, and then the FDA can come by and do checks on the spot. So will they do it? I don't know, but that's their plan. But the big thing is what we're seeing out of this it's not only just our respiratory issues, lung cancer, throat. We're starting to see a new trend called popcorn lung. And popcorn lung is essentially the buttery diacetyl flavor that you use in the microwave popcorn. And it's the same flavoring ingredient that they're using in e-juices. It's one of the base foundations, so you can't not have it. It's part of the flavoring system. And those that are smoking it, we're seeing that popcorn lung, which I think the full name is contracted bronchiolitis, and they're having pockets form in their lungs. So their perception of risk, they had no idea about that probably, because they don't associate anything besides cancer to smoking. The next one is unreal how it went from nobody knew about it to everybody has it, and it's called a Juul. And why they're using these Juuls is because it's hard to see in my little picture, but essentially you charge it into the computer and it looks like a black flash drive just hanging out here. So the youth are at school using these, There's no scent coming out of the smoke. You cannot detect it. And there are little cartilages that you just pop in there. And so it's equivalent to 1 pack of cigarettes. It's 200 puffs. And you get 4 cartilages to fill up in your package that you get. And all you have to do is just keep recharging this in the computer and the wall. Yeah.
Wait a minute. What is that? And you smoke it?
Mm-hmm. So this is a vape pen, but it's one of these concealment ones that it looks like a flash drive.
Okay, so wait a minute. So they would put it in the computer.
Mm-hmm.
Charge
Charge it. Then put it in the pen and then smoke it?
Okay.
And there's no vapor.
No vaporizer, no smell. And this concerns me, the Juul, because if they've got it in your nicotine, and there's no non-nicotine option. They've got Cool Mint, Fruit Medley, Creme Brulee, all these flavors to pick from. But to me, my brain is going on the other track where are they going to have, your marijuana infused THC cartridges coming out next? Because we know there's vape pens out there that can handle marijuana, the wax, it can handle the oil, the THC in it, and a lot of those also don't have that vaporizer smell. And kids are going into the bathroom during school, smoking, coming back high or buzzed from their nicotine. But the biggest one is the Juul right now. Okay, so quickly getting into marijuana trends. This one's a struggle that we're trying to tackle, not just here in York County, across the nation, and it comes down to getting the kids to understand that we're not playing with marijuana like it was back in the day. Our marijuana is 4 times stronger nowadays than it used to be, and we've started to create not just your traditional marijuana joints. We now have other products like hash, and then moving it into hash oil. So you're starting to create now about 12 to 15% your average THC levels, but of course that's not enough for people. So they start extracting the oil to rig up to about 90% THC. And it has been proven through so many just reports and hospitalizations that the marijuana, the youth are using it to cope with anxiety, depression, the stressors of life, but it almost increases your anxiety and your mental health disorders twice as much as if you weren't to use it. And so getting them to understand it's a gamble. You're playing with your mental health, and especially the youth that have schizophrenia. All the time the kids ask me, well, can you die from the marijuana itself? Have you ever heard of overdose from the marijuana itself? And no. We've never had an overdose on the actual marijuana.
It's the things you do while you're on it.
It's the idiot stuff that they do on it, absolutely. And if they have schizophrenia that runs in the family, it's out the roof, 10 times more stronger with hallucinations, hearing and seeing things, which essentially leads to suicide rates or have been increased, especially in Colorado and the original legalized state. So the greater the THC, the greater the consequences. We try to get the youth to understand. And why is this a problem? Because our edibles, all these other things that are out there now, it takes time for our body to absorb and process it, and our youth don't have time, so they say. They want something quick and ready to get them high right off the bat. And this right here is called the Smoke Buddy. And if they don't have a fancy little vaping device that hides the smell, the vape that comes off of it, all they have to do is, I don't know if this is open, but you take that lid off and they blow right into here, and it's filtering the smell so nothing comes out essentially. Back in the day, it used to be a toilet paper roll with a dryer sheet on it. It just smells like fresh cotton coming out. They've gotten a little bit more technology out nowadays, but having teachers or whoever understand, or parents seeing these things laying around will help them associate it with, oh, is my child using marijuana? So here's the vaping, the brands that we were talking about that actually will have the marijuana in it, because you can't just use any vape device because of the thick oil and the wax it can cause it to kind of goo up and not work. So there's special brands out there. This one's called the PAX3 vaporizer. It's one of those that you can charge through, you know, your computer and the wall. This one right here is called the Juju joint. The Juju joint, you can get 150 hits off of the Juju joint. Oh, I always love giving this presentation because it's unreal. It's unreal. But you have your different strains of the marijuana oil, and it doesn't have to be recharged. It's one of those that you use it up, you have another one left in the pack, and you can throw it away. So their evidence isn't laying around the household or wherever it may be.
Let me ask you.
Sure.
Okay, so they would get the marijuana and stick it down in there?
Some of these are pre-packaged with it.
And where are you getting those? Just
through online. Yeah. A lot of these websites, it's no different than the alcohol. You go on and they have their way of getting away with it because in the legalized states, it's perfectly fine. So the front screen is, you know, am I 21? Yes or no? And then you can enter, and that's where you see all the products. There's no, you know, driver's license information to really figure out your birth date. Anyone has access to it. And even in the legalized states, whether it's medical marijuana or marijuana, stuff is flowing into our non-legalized states. So, and in my mind, they're going to want something that's pre-packaged, not something that they have to spend time, you know, filling up their vapes
They're not
with.
buds or anything like that, it's actually liquid, isn't it?
It is liquid. There are some where it is the bud. The only thing is, I think that puts off a stronger
Yeah, I
smell
don't think so.
versus their
Because they burn on
oils.
leaf, so these are all extracted oils that they
Yes.
put in there.
And to be able to extract these, it's essentially very common to a meth lab. You're using very flammable butane to strip the oil from the plant itself, and so we've seen house explosions, we've seen multiple apartments blow up because someone was, you know, running a oil refinery out of their apartment.
Of marijuana.
Of marijuana. Of marijuana. And just so you can get an idea how the marijuana industry is targeting youth, it's no different. It comes back to the candy, the edibles. And so not only do you have, in the legalized states, Pop-Tarts, you can get Pot Tarts. Or you can get can of butter. Can of butter is just something you want to rub on your toast in the morning with your coffee. You've got Chiba Chews, you've got Rasta Reese's, Double Puff Oreos, Trichome Crunch, Munchie Way, Buddha Finger, Kit Kat. So the names, it's almost, you know, you gotta be clever to be in that industry, but these are what you essentially can get at a dispensary. And why this is important for us as educators and where you guys are in your role is if South Carolina were to come around and legalize medical marijuana, we would have dispensaries on every single corner. And at that point, whether you have medical marijuana or not, you have access to any edible. It's not like you're restricted to just getting one strain of the bud in the jar. You have access to anything. And so these things would be flowing out in the streets.
Is this manufactured, all of these in America right now?
Yes.
And are they now in the legalized states for marijuana?
Yes, these are in the legalized states, in the dispensaries. But
And that's only been in the last few years though. I mean, how long, was Colorado the first state?
Colorado was the
That's about
first.
5 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we kind of use them as our guinea pig to see what's working, what's not. And I mean, there's lots of ripple effects that are coming about in Colorado. I mean, I can part on the side where there is some utility out of the marijuana, but it has to go through our clinical trials and FDA, and that's where we get our CBD oil that's used to help people with seizures and things like that. It's getting the right regulation, which the FDA needs, but on a federal level, the FDA is not touching. They're kind of sitting back with their arms crossed and letting the states decide, even though I think they're probably smoking it
And
themselves.
in Colorado, that's all cash too, because they can't run through any banking system. Because
Exactly.
banking's regulated at the federal level.
No audits are done, nothing. So that's a prime crime right there to get
Cash.
robbed. Cash market.
Wow.
So, and The biggest one is you can't see in the middle of this picture here are gummy bears.
Yeah.
One gummy bear gets 4 people high. One gummy bear.
What?
One. And it's a normal sized gummy bear. So essentially to get just one person high, you gotta eat the ear or something, you know, one centimeter to get you high. And that's where our issues are coming because the strong, potent THC are infused into your edibles. And the body has to absorb it, and nobody, just like the ice cream example, no one's eating one gummy bear. So that's the dangers with our edibles.
So at some point, let's say that somebody goes to Colorado and buys that and eats like 20 of them. So what's I mean, that can't,
They're gonna
even
be
though you
very
can't
hungry and then very
overjuice.
sleepy.
So we call it.
So what are the ramifications on that?
We call it greening out. There's really no overdose lingo like associated with alcohol. You can get nicotine poisoning with tobacco. For marijuana, we call it greening out. And at this point, this is where their heart rate is uncontrollable. Their breathing might stop because their heart can't keep up. And if they make it to the hospital, then that's where they go and get, you know, the withdrawal and detox. But essentially, you can die from having 25 gummy bears if you get behind the wheel of a car.
Right.
Which is inevitably going to happen.
Yep, drug driving. Absolutely. And how are we going if we were to bring in our state or seeing how other states are handling it? How are they regulating it? You know, are there laws around how many gummy bears you can have in your car? You know we can control the ounces if you get caught, you know, the whole decriminalization process. But when it comes to edibles, I haven't heard other states figure that one out yet.
Most major employers are gonna drug test anyway, so.
Right.
Yeah, actually, if anyone's seen in the news, a lot of people, they're having troubles getting employees in Colorado. No one wants to hire locals there. If you're an outsider from another state, you're more likely to get a job at a big company there.
Well, it's just making idiots of that whole area. And that's my thought is you cannot, a country cannot sustain itself
No.
with this type of behavior, period.
Absolutely not. I'm not sure what state they've legalized the full recreational use of marijuana. But
It's not used, by the way, not me.
I'm not sure which state it is, but they're starting to come around and get a little tighter on laws and restrictions. So that could be something as in Colorado, you would drive anywhere and see billboards saying, you know, your edibles and such. And these other states that are kind of tightening the reins a bit, they're making sure that you can't have these candy flavored products. You can't have advertisements and billboard, especially targeting the youth. So there are things coming about. It's basically these states are trying to prove to the feds and to America that we can do this. We can handle
Alaska just passed it in 2017, and they don't have edibles.
no
You know,
edibles.
they
Yes.
don't have any edibles. They don't have billboards. They only have Anchorage, which is the capital city. They have like 3 shops in the whole town. Where in Colorado, it's one on every corner.
Every corner.
It's one on every corner.
There's more dispensaries in Colorado than your Starbucks and McDonald's. We know those are on every corner.
What?
Yeah. Yes. It's
They're everywhere.
it is crazy.
I mean, I went to work for work. I took the train and we went to Colorado on a train, and we took the tour for their Mile High Stadium. And the street that we kind of went by it and we got on this other street. And as we went down the street, within a quarter of a mile, it was at least 6 of them. Within a quarter of a mile, and you don't even notice it first until there's that leaf, you know, because they're not that big. They're about the size of a Starbucks or
Very
smaller.
small,
They're
yeah.
very small, you know, and it was just amazing, you know. That I said, man, good gracious, you know.
Unreal. There's an advertisement I saw, so it's against the marijuana side, and it was, you know, a mother leaving CVS pharmacy right next door, but then the dispensary was right next to it, and her son was walking out of the dispensary, like, you know, trying to really relate it for parents to see, you know, this is what could happen if, you know, medical or whatnot got brought to the states or to the non-legal states.
Do you happen to have like a statistic on like crime in Colorado or some of those states that have had it there for a while?
I do. I don't know the number off my head, but we have a beautiful presentation that's solely on, it's called The Blunt Truth. And it's based out of Blunt Truth Task Force for South Carolina. And I can send that as an attachment in our email before